I would give DDP the advantage over Khamzat right now. If I had to bet on it.
It's hard to say
It's
because
hard-
we don't know what happens.
There's so
if
many
Khamzat-
question marks. We don't know.
Khamzat just shoots from like 15 feet away and gets a hold of your
But
legs
I look
so
at the
quick.
Kamaru. He didn't do that.
Now it's my time. Yeah, don't run too much. Let's wait, man.
Joe Rogan recently suggested that DDP might be in serious trouble after seeing Khamzat Chimaev's training footage ahead of UFC 319. Rogan, who has closely observed Chimaev since his UFC debut, highlighted the intense pace and impressive wrestling technique Chimaev brings, especially when he shoots from a distance and grabs his opponent's legs with missile-like precision. During a recent broadcast, Rogan questioned whether Dricus could defend against those takedowns, saying that Khamzat shoots from nearly 15 feet away and quickly secures leg control. He continued by describing Chimaev's grappling as among the elite in the sport and raised concerns about whether Du Plessis could match that level. Rogan mentioned that we have not really seen Dricus face someone of Chimaev's caliber before and noted that although Dricus is a difficult and resilient fighter, to figure out this matchup presents a unique challenge. These statements followed Chimaev's decision to train with Sam Kvita, a well-known performance coach who specializes in improving fighters' endurance, which could potentially fix the one major critique often directed at Chimaev's cardio.
Is Khamzat going to be able to take me down? Absolutely. Absolutely, he'll be able to take me down. This is how a fight works. I would hope so. Isn't he like some Swedish champion or something? I would hope he could take me down. But then he has to deal with me on the ground and he has to keep me there. Can I take Khamzat down? Absolutely. Am I going to take Khamzat down? Absolutely. I'm not scared of Khamzat wrestling. I'm not evading. I'm not trying to stay off the ground.
Meanwhile, on the other side, fans have already started making jokes about DDP. Earlier this week, Du Plessis posted some new training photos online where he was seen sparring and working on his wrestling ahead of his upcoming title defense. The fan reaction was immediate and filled with sarcasm. One fan even joked saying DP by unanimous confusion, making fun of his awkward fighting style and the way he moves in such an unpredictable manner.
Hamza over. Salam. Congratulations on your win. Wanted to get your thoughts on Dricus as a champion, his run so far, and what do you make of his grappling?
What do you think, guys? How I done with this guy, Rob? How he done? Rob took him down. So if Rob took him down, so there is salam alaikum.
Du Plessis isn't backing away from that idea. In a recent interview with CBS Sports and Shaquille Majuri, he said his game plan is to target what many believe is Chimaev's biggest weakness. He admitted that Khamzat will probably take him down and said he expects it considering Chimaev is a former Swedish wrestling champion or something like that. But Du Plessis added that once it goes to the ground, Khamzat will have to deal with him there and be able to keep him down. He confidently stated that he can take Khamzat down and that he absolutely will. According to Du Plessis, he is not afraid of Khamzat's wrestling, and he's not planning to avoid the ground game. In his view, that is the mistake everyone else makes when facing Chimaev.
So DDP is making his training partners shave their heads and grow their beards to prepare for the wolf. What he's not understanding is that he can bring Khabib and Gordon Ryan for the 3-month fight camp to prepare, and he's still gonna get submitted in the first round. Like, who are we kidding here?
This approach goes against what most of Chimaev's opponents have tried in the past. Instead of constantly backing away or defending takedowns, Du Plessis plans to meet him head-on in the wrestling department. The idea is to possibly wear Chimaev down by turning his strongest skill into a battlefield that both fighters share. Whether this turns out to be a smart strategy or just overconfidence is something we'll find out soon.
Yeah. And just lastly, who do you see taking the belt at 185?
At 185? Listen, I told you guys, don't sleep on Khamzat. When he was fighting Robert Whittaker, everyone said, oh yeah, Whittaker's gonna get him. Hey, don't sleep on him. Khamzat's extremely talented, extremely strong. He can shock anyone. But Dricus Du Plessis, you can't sleep on him as well. He's the champion for a reason, taking out 3 champions back to back to back. So, hey, respect to all those guys. I respect every one of these fighters.
At the same time, former UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw has shared more details about what might be Chimaev's secret weapon for this fight. Dillashaw was the one who introduced Chimaev to Sam Calavita, a performance coach known for building elite-level cardio, using heart rate control and lactic acid threshold training. According to Dillashaw, it all comes down to science. He mentioned this during a podcast where he was discussing DDP versus Chimaev. In his view, Chimaev is the better striker, technically far ahead as a grappler, stronger and with sharper jiu-jitsu. On the other hand, he acknowledged that DDP brings relentless pressure and an awkward style that somehow works. Dillashaw said the only reason Chimaev might lose is because of his cardio.
Khamzat and Dricus fighting for the belts in just over a month's time. What are your initial thoughts on that matchup, stylistically?
So honestly, I'd have to say Dricus would be a favourite. He probably is a favourite, but I think I'm leaning towards Dricus. The whole thing can be summed up. Chimaev will take him down.
Yeah.
Will he finish him before he gets back up? That's the million-dollar question. Because if he doesn't...
He went on to say that after meeting Chimaev, he introduced him to Sam Calavita, who runs a specialized training lab. Dillashaw had already connected Armin with Sam, who has been helping him, and the results have been clear in how he performs. Now, with Chimaev also training under Sam, Dillashaw noted that Sam has top-tier athletes training in his garage, where all the strength and conditioning work takes place. He described it as something out of a Rocky movie and confirmed that Chimaev is fully committed to it. Dillashaw said he strongly believes Chimaev will show up with improved cardio in this fight, and that could be the key to his victory.
That's an incredible fighter, but you're fighting in the top 5 of the UFC. Everybody's incredible fighters. He has this one thing that works for him, and it's been good, but Khamzat is an absolute animal, absolutely. But I mean, you look at the Gilbert Burns fight, which you could have scored either way. You look at the Kamaru Usman fight, and you go, yeah, he did beat Robert Whittaker. Obviously, his teeth broke back. It's unfortunate. He is really good. So, deserving of a title shot 100% after that performance. If you look at the Strickland...
This new advantage could help eliminate what many saw as the only weakness in Chimaev's skill set. With his dominant wrestling, powerful top control, and now high-level cardio training, the Chechen-born fighter heads into UFC 319 as the betting favorite at -180 according to the promotion's official site. Du Plessis, on the other hand, is listed as a +150 underdog. UFC 319 is scheduled for Saturday, August 16th at the United Center in Chicago. The story taking shape around this fight is beginning to feel more like a survival mission for Du Plessis than a true title defense. Luke Rockhold, who has spent time training with both fighters, offered a blunt assessment of the challenge DDP is about to face.
Said there's going to be an early storm by Chimaev, but he believes Dricus can sustain the storm, and each passing minute favors Dricus. Now, what he's talking about is conditioning. You asked me about that fight 2 years ago, or a year ago, even 6 months ago. I would have quickly dismissed it and told you Chimaev. I would tell you Chimaev every single round. But I don't feel that way anymore. I feel and I'm seeing what other people are feeling and seeing. The greatness of Dricus, it is something that is now not only witnessed.
Rockhold is familiar with both fighters' styles and understands how they feel during real training sessions. While speaking to Submission Radio, he described Chimaev as a beast, emphasizing his wrestling and grappling abilities along with the non-stop pressure he brings. According to Rockhold, Chimaev is going to come out fast and aggressive, and the real question for opponents is whether they can survive those first 2 rounds. That's what it all comes down to. He recognized Du Plessis' toughness and his ability to find a rhythm, but stressed that the real threat comes early. Those opening rounds could shape the entire fight. If Dricus makes it through the storm, things could shift in his favor, but if he doesn't, it could end in another quick finish for Chimaev.
In the main event, the middleweight champion, Dricus Du Plessis, will defend his belt against Khamzat Chimaev. Dricus' last 4 wins have come over former champs Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, and Robert Whittaker. He hasn't lost in 7 years. 20 of his 23 wins have come by finish, and now he faces the undefeated 16-0 Khamzat Chimaev.
This fight has become about much more than just the title. It now carries weight for reputation, and who will dominate the future. Chimaev was already talked about as a threat in 2 weight classes even before moving up to middleweight. He remains undefeated and has never been beaten on the ground, finishing top opponents and crushing those once considered challenges. What he brings now goes beyond aggression. It is a full physical and scientific transformation. Thanks to Sam Calvita's training, Chimaev could be stronger and more dangerous in the later rounds than he was early in fights. For Du Plessis, the strategy is straightforward: survive, confuse pressure, and then take control. He has stated clearly that he will not shy away from grappling. This may change the early tempo and lead to intense exchanges where both fighters push each other's limits.
Dricus beats Khamzat?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. I really do. I think Khamzat is a sprinter. I think if you were to make fights 1 5-minute round, Khamzat beats anybody in the world, any weight class. But you can't fight championship level fights for 5 rounds at the pace where he's at his best. If he fights like that at his best, I think Dricus is so durable and he's so smart that he'll be able to withstand that. Now they're swimming in deep.
While fans keep making fun of how unusual DDP's style can be, the champion has proven that awkwardness can actually work. His wins over Whitaker and Adesanya may not have been textbook, but they were clear and convincing. He overwhelms opponents with rhythm, movement, pressure, and full commitment. If Chimaev's wrestling fails early or his stamina does not last the full 5 rounds, even with Calvita's training, Du Plessis could take advantage through sheer volume and toughness that is the only realistic way many experts see him winning. Otherwise, most predict a commanding victory for Chimaev.
Ton of respect for both those guys. I think that they both do a lot of things really well. I think that they both have parts of their game that could use improvement. And I think that I see the fight. I think that early that Chimaev obviously has an advantage. I think as the round goes later, we've seen Chimaev kind of fade and Dricus get stronger. So I think the later rounds favor Dricus. But
in fights like this, the unknown factors mean everything. Is Chimaev's cardio really fixed, or just better? Can he handle an opponent who refuses to back down? Can Du Plessis assert himself against the only middleweight who blends top-tier wrestling with brutal ground control and now scientific-level stamina? For now, Joe Rogan's warning remains. If Du Plessis cannot survive the early onslaught, he may never get a chance to come back. Fans might joke about unanimous confusion, but on August 16th, the stakes will be crystal clear. One fighter will probably rise as the most dominant middleweight on earth.
Khamzat, I love the guy. After COVID, it really messed him up. One of the craziest things I've ever seen. Thrown up like blood. As far as I know now, he's in Russia, he's in camp, he's focused, he's a superstar. He's one of the biggest stars in the UFC. When you have this kind of pressure, sometimes people doesn't know how to handle it. It's hard to bet against focused Khamzat, healthy Khamzat. I think he can beat anyone on any given day. As talent, as technique, is Khamzat. If you go to the 3rd and 4th and 5th round, how this fight gonna go? I believe Khamzat can go there, did to him what he did to Robert Whitaker. 100%, I believe this.
Luke Rockhold has analyzed the UFC 319 main event between Dricus Du Plessis and Khamzat Chimaev, bringing valuable insight from his experience. He has trained with both fighters and knows firsthand what it is like to wrestle Chimaev and spar with Du Plessis. Based on what he has observed, Rockhold believes this fight will be decided within the first 10 minutes. He described Chimaev as a beast, emphasizing his wrestling and grappling skills and the non-stop pressure he applies. He said Chimaev will start fast and strong. The key question for Du Plessis is whether he can survive the first 2 rounds. That is the real challenge for his opponents. Rockhold thinks the opening rounds will determine if Chimaev can maintain control or if the pressure will start to wear off.
Do I want double champ status? Absolutely. But I'm willing to earn that. If there's contenders that make sense, I don't want to fight contenders that doesn't make sense. You know, fighting Israel Adesanya makes sense. Fighting guys that deserve the title shots makes sense.
When you say contenders that don't make sense, do you mean fighters like Khamzat, who maybe haven't fought a middleweight ranks, because he's also treating like
Rockhold shares a common view among fight fans that Chimaev may struggle to maintain his level for 5 rounds. He said he doesn't like Chimaev's chances in longer fights. He's trained extensively with Du Plessis and described him as tough and relentless, saying you have to either dominate Du Plessis from start to finish or finish him early, because he won't just give up. Rockhold doubts Chimaev can keep up that intense pressure for very long. He called Du Plessis one of the toughest fighters he has worked with and warned that many people underestimate him. According to Rockhold, Du Plessis is not typical 5-round material, but he is extremely difficult to deal with due to his awkward style, strange timing and rhythm, and overall confidence. He also praised his grappling, decent wrestling, and effective striking. The conclusion is clear. Rockhold sees Chimaev as the favorite early on, but if the fight goes beyond the 2nd round, the advantage shifts to Du Plessis.
Khamzat DDP.
Who you got in that? Let's start with that. Khamzat DDP. Who you got?
I
got a feeling DDP wins that.
I have Khamzat.
I don't.
Yeah.
If Khamzat can get done the first round and a half, maybe, I just think that thing goes past the third and DDP takes over. I think he TKOs him.
I think Khamzat is a better striker, and I think Khamzat's a better wrestler. And I think DDP is a killer, but I think it's Khamzat's time.
Could be totally off on Khamzat. He's a mind.
Rockhold shares a common view among fight fans that Chimaev may struggle to maintain his level for 5 rounds. He said he doesn't like Chimaev's chances in longer fights. He's trained extensively with Du Plessis and described him as tough and relentless, saying you have to either dominate Du Plessis from start to finish or finish him early, because he won't just give up. Rockhold doubts Chimaev can keep up that intense pressure for very long. He called Du Plessis one of the toughest fighters he has worked with and warned that many people underestimate him. According to Rockhold, Du Plessis is not typical 5-round material, but he is extremely difficult to deal with due to his awkward style, strange timing and rhythm, and overall confidence. He also praised his grappling, decent wrestling, and effective striking. The conclusion is clear. Rockhold sees Chimaev as the favorite early on, but if the fight goes beyond the second round, the advantage shifts to Du Plessis.
Who do you think wins, Dricus or Khamzat, and what do you think the finishing sequence would look like? I could see Dricus winning. Chat, yes or no? Most underrated part of Dricus Du Plessis' game, jiu-jitsu. He actually scrambles really well from bottom position. Really well. He's not going to let himself get mounted. He'll roll for like a leg and shit like that. You know what I'm saying? He'll roll for a leg, threaten a heel hook, and then use it to get back up and try and get back control. Like, he's actually really good at that.
Not everyone agrees with that assessment. Yoel Romero, a fighter with elite wrestling skills and years of experience against pressure grapplers, thinks Chimaev's wrestling will control the fight, while some like Dritter believe Du Plessis' movement and unusual entries might trouble Chimaev in the later rounds. Romero expects Chimaev to set the pace and maintain it from beginning to end. In his view, if Chimaev comes prepared with a solid game plan and manages his energy well, the number of rounds won't be important because his grappling will keep him in control.
So DDP said Khamzat has a gun and I have a tank when it comes to strength. Last time I checked, Khamzat ragdolled, dismantled, and broke the jaw of the same man who took you down and controlled you in the very first round of your fight. But yeah, bro, you're the tank. Whatever helps you sleep at night.
Sean Strickland has also shared his thoughts. He knows both fighters in very different ways, having lost to Dricus Du Plessis twice in title fights and trained with Chimaev at Extreme Couture. Gives him a unique perspective. In an interview with Helen Ye, Strickland said both fighters can grapple, and as someone who has trained extensively, he usually could counter-wrestle and grapple them. He expressed doubt about whether Du Plessis can successfully counter-wrestle Chimaev, but said if he can, then Du Plessis will win easily. Strickland praised Chimaev as a tough opponent, but believes the outcome depends on whether Du Plessis can stop and counter his wrestling. He emphasized that it is not that hard to do. Strickland's view is that if Du Plessis can keep up with the wrestling pace early on and avoid being overwhelmed, the fight swings in his favor quickly. His focus is on counter wrestling, and he believes Chimaev's takedown game can be neutralized with proper awareness and movement.
Can't discount the fact that he is a very skilled fighter and champion level mentality, champion level fighter overall when it comes to his skills. Sure, he had a little bit of luck when Israel Adesanya slipped and he got stuck in that.
Former champion Robert Whittaker is leaning toward Du Plessis, but with one important condition. He said he thinks he favors Du Plessis and believes Chimaev will take him down. The question is whether Chimaev can finish him before Du Plessis gets back up, because if he cannot finish on the ground, Whittaker thinks Chimaev will lose his perspective, focuses less on control or dominance and more on securing a finish. Although Chimaev's ground game is world-class, maintaining top position against someone like Du Plessis, who constantly scrambles and applies pressure, could become very difficult over 5 rounds.
Think Dricus beats Khamzat?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. I really do. I think Khamzat is a sprinter. I think if you were to make fights 1 5-minute round, Khamzat beats anybody in the world, any weight class. But you can't fight championship level fights for 5 rounds at the pace where he's at his best. If he fights like that at his best, I think Dricus is so durable and he's so smart that he'll be able to withstand that.
What makes this conversation unique is that nearly every former opponent or training partner agrees on a similar pattern. Chimaev may start strong, but there is a critical window to finish the fight. If he misses that chance, the momentum completely shifts. It is not just about Du Plessis winning a round or 2 on points, but a total change in the physical battle. Chimaev has rarely been pushed into deep waters. The fight with Gilbert Burns revealed some moments where fatigue showed, and although Chimaev still won. It created some doubt. Du Plessis has built his career on grit and relentless persistence. His victories over Whittaker and Adesanya were neither clean nor elegant, but they wore down top-level opponents.
Now, if you guys have followed my channel for a long time, I'm going to sound like a stuck record, but for those of you that are new here, with this fight being next up, I'm just going to go ahead and say it again. Dricus Du Plessis is going to finish Khamzat Chimaev. He's bigger, he's stronger, he may not be as technical, but this is going to be an absolute war of attrition when these two get in the octagon. It's going to be an absolute dogfight to say the least, and no one is more of a dog in there than Dricus. Khamzat's not going to be able to overwhelm Dricus with that blitz like he has.
Du Plessis' strength goes beyond just cardio or movement. He is awkward and hard to predict, uncomfortable for opponents, especially explosive wrestlers who depend on setting traps. Du Plessis doesn't come in with clean lines or predictable patterns. Instead, he forces his opponent to constantly reset and react, breaking the rhythm of fighters like Chimaev. This is what fighters like Ritter and Strickland have talked about. If you cannot control Du Plessis and dictate the pace, then the pace will work against you. At the same time, Chimaev's record and background cannot be ignored. He holds 14 wins with finishes over Gerald Meschart, Li Jingling, and a dominant showing against Robert Whittaker. His wrestling goes beyond MMA. As a former Swedish national wrestling champion, and he has dominated every opponent who tried to grapple with him. Chimaev possesses natural explosiveness and excellent positional awareness, making him one of the most feared middleweights. This is why fighters like Romero still back him and why fans and analysts see him as the favorite. He enters this fight as a -180 favorite for good reason. So what do you think? Share your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe.